You know what they are. You have named it. You have read about it. You have watched videos about it. You have talked about it with the people who know you best. You have sat with the evidence, the documented, undeniable, specific evidence of what this relationship has done to you. And you still cannot leave. Or you left and went back. Or you left and went back and left again, and are right now somewhere in that cycle, wondering what is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you, but something is happening to you. Something specific, biological, measurable, that your willpower and your knowledge and your understanding of what this relationship is doing to you cannot override. And that something has a name: trauma bonding. This video is going to explain exactly what it is, why it forms, and, most importantly, why knowing it is harmful is not enough to break it. Because if you have ever felt confused about why you cannot do what every rational part of you knows you should do, this video is going to give you the answer that logic alone could not. Stay until the very end, because the last section contains the most important thing I am going to say, and it is about what breaking a trauma bond actually requires. Let me start with the definition, not the clinical one, the experience. You have been hurt by this person, repeatedly, in ways you could not have imagined when the relationship began, in ways that, if you described them to someone who did not know you, they would immediately say, "Leave." And you know they are right, and you cannot. Not because you are stupid, not because you do not value yourself, not because you secretly want to be treated this way, because your nervous system has been hijacked. Dr. Patrick Carnes, the psychologist who first named trauma bonding in 1997, defines it as a bond formed through the misuse of fear, excitement, and physiological arousal to entangle another person. Not a bond formed despite the abuse, a bond formed partly because of it. And psychologists Donald Dutton and Susan Painter, whose research in the 1980s established the foundational science of traumatic bonding, found something that runs counter to every intuition you have about how attachment should work. Intermittent reinforcement from a powerful attachment figure produces stronger and more durable bonds than consistent kindness does. Read that again. The inconsistency, the hot and cold, the warmth and withdrawal, the idealization and devaluation does not weaken the attachment. It strengthens it. The bond is not formed despite the abuse. To a great extent, it is formed because of it. Now let me show you what is happening in your brain, because this is the part that changes everything. When the narcissist love bombs you in the beginning, when they flood you with attention and apparent understanding and the specific feeling of finally being chosen, your brain releases dopamine and oxytocin. Dopamine, the reward chemical, at levels that Dr. Helen Fisher's research shows activate the same brain regions as cocaine addiction. Your brain does not just enjoy this person. Your brain encodes them as the source of the most profound reward signal it has ever experienced. Then comes the devaluation. The warmth withdraws. The criticism arrives, or the silence, or the contempt. Cortisol floods your system, the stress hormone, keeping you in a state of hypervigilance, constantly scanning for what you did wrong, how to get back to the person who loved you so completely just days ago. And then, the return. A moment of warmth, a glimpse of who they were at the beginning. A small gesture that, against the backdrop of the cortisol and the anxiety and the desperate need for relief, registers as something close to euphoria. Not because it is genuinely wonderful, because the relief from cortisol in the presence of dopamine creates a neurochemical cocktail that your brain encodes as profound love. The worse things get, the more intense the cortisol, the more powerful the relief feels when they briefly improve. B.F. Skinner proved in his behavioral research that unpredictable rewards produce stronger behavioral patterns than consistent rewards. The slot machine model. You do not stay at the slot machine because it always pays out. You stay because it sometimes does. And the unpredictability of when, the intermittent reinforcement, creates a pull that consistent rewards never could. Your nervous system is not broken. It is operating exactly as designed, in an environment that was specifically structured, consciously or not, to exploit that design. Now let me show you the 7 stages. Because trauma bonding does not arrive all at once. It is built, incrementally, through a specific sequence that Dr. Patrick Carnes identified. Each stage reinforces the next. Each stage makes the previous stage harder to leave behind. Stage 1 is love bombing. The overwhelming attention, the intensity, the apparent understanding, the feeling of being chosen. Your brain encodes this person as the source of the most profound reward it has known. The foundation is laid. Stage 2 is trust and dependency. The love bombing has created deep trust. You depend on them emotionally. They are your primary source of validation, of feeling seen, of feeling safe. The dependency is not a weakness you developed. It is a dependency they engineered. Stage 3 is criticism. Subtle at first. A comment about the way you handled something. A suggestion that you are too sensitive. A look that carries contempt that they deny when you ask about it. Your self-esteem begins to erode. Gradually. Stage 4 is gaslighting. Your perception of what is happening becomes the subject of dispute. What you experienced is not what happened. What you heard is not what was said. What you felt is not a reasonable response to what occurred. You begin to approach your own experience with a question mark. You are not sure anymore what is real. Stage 5 is resignation. You are exhausted. The effort of maintaining your own perspective against the constant rewriting has depleted you. You begin to accept their version. Not because you believe it, because you no longer have the resources to fight it. Stage 6 is loss of self. You have lost track of who you were before this relationship. Your preferences, your opinions, your sense of what you want and need and deserve. All of it has been slowly replaced by their version of who you are. Stage 7 is emotional addiction. You are not staying because you are making a choice. You are staying because you are addicted to the intermittent relief of their approval, to the dopamine spike of the rare moments when they are the person they seem to be at the beginning, to the specific neurochemical cocktail that your brain now associates at a level below conscious thought with the experience of being loved. Now I need to stop and speak to you directly, because I know what is happening right now. You have recognized yourself in these stages, maybe in all of them. And something in you is doing what it always does, trying to turn this into evidence of your failure. You should have seen this earlier. You should have left before it got this far. You should have been stronger than a neurochemical process that psychologists have spent decades studying precisely because it is so powerful. I need you to hear something. Patrick Carnes, who spent his career studying the most powerful and destructive bonds known to psychology, says trauma bonds cannot be broken by willpower or insight alone. Not because the people in them are weak, because the bond is held not in the rational mind, but in the nervous system. You cannot think your way out of a trauma bond. Understanding that the relationship is harmful, even understanding it with complete clarity, the way you are understanding it right now, does not dissolve the attachment. You know this, because you already know the relationship is harmful, and you are still here. Not because your knowing is insufficient, because knowing lives in the prefrontal cortex, and the trauma bond lives in the limbic system, in the body, in the nervous system that learned, through hundreds of cycles of cortisol and dopamine and the specific neurochemical relief of intermittent warmth, that this person is survival. And you cannot override survival with logic. Now, what actually works? Because trauma bonds can be broken. Not through willpower, not through understanding, through specific work at the level where the bond actually lives. The first thing is no contact, or, if that is not possible, minimal contact. Not because seeing them is morally wrong, because every contact reactivates the neurochemical cycle. Every text, every call, every social media post, every message through mutual friends is another dopamine cortisol cycle, another round of conditioning, another reinforcement of the bond at the exact level where it lives. No contact is not about punishing them. It is about stopping the cycle from being reinforced. The second thing is somatic work. Bessel van der Kolk, whose decades of trauma research produced The Body Keeps the Score, explains that the body stores these patterns at a physiological level. The mind can understand that the relationship is harmful. The body has already learned to need it. Talk therapy alone, understanding, insight, naming what happened, is not sufficient to address what is held in the body. Somatic work, therapy approaches that work with the nervous system directly, not just the mind, is what actually begins to discharge what the body is holding. The third thing is rebuilding the neurological reward system. Your brain was trained to associate this specific person with the most profound reward it knows. The withdrawal from that association is real withdrawal. Physical, not metaphorical. You will feel it in your body. What rebuilds the reward system is not telling yourself the relationship was bad. It is building genuine sources of connection, meaning, and pleasure, slowly, consistently, over time, that give the reward system something real to attach to. Not because those things replace what the trauma bond felt like, because they begin to provide what the trauma bond was seeking. The genuine version of what the love bombing promised. The fourth thing is understanding what the bond was actually about. The trauma bond was not about them. It was about what they activated in you, the specific attachment wounds that made you vulnerable to this particular dynamic. The places where your nervous system was already primed by earlier experiences, by earlier relationships, by earlier environments, to recognize this pattern as familiar. Familiar is not the same as safe. But to a nervous system that learned attachment through unpredictable love, familiar feels like home. And understanding that, really sitting with what it means about your history, not as self-blame, but as genuine, compassionate curiosity, is the work that changes not just this bond, but the vulnerability to the next one. And now, the most important thing. The thing I promised at the beginning. You cannot leave someone who is destroying you because your brain has been chemically conditioned to experience their presence as necessary and their absence as unbearable. That is not weakness. That is neuroscience. That is what Dr. Patrick Carnes documented. That is what Dutton and Painter proved. That is what van der Kolk spent his career showing us about what trauma does to the body. You are not still here because you are broken. You are still here because you were in a relationship that was specifically structured through intermittent reinforcement, through love bombing and devaluation, through cycles of cortisol and dopamine that your nervous system could not distinguish from love, to make leaving feel like dying. And leaving something that feels like dying takes more than knowing you should. It takes support. It takes time. It takes work at the level where the bond actually lives. It does not take willpower you have somehow been failing to summon. You have not been failing. You have been surviving a neurobiological process that was designed by millions of years of attachment evolution to keep you bonded to the people your nervous system classified as essential. The narcissist exploited that design, not the other way around. And the way out, the real way out, not the one that sounds simple and isn't, is not through greater determination. It is through understanding what is actually happening, and then doing the specific work that addresses it where it lives. You can break this bond. Not today, necessarily. Not through a single decision. Through the slow, patient, genuinely supported work of teaching your nervous system that you are safe without them. That separation is survivable. That the void their absence creates is not permanent. That on the other side of the withdrawal, which is real and will be painful, is the specific freedom of no longer being neurologically tethered to someone who is destroying you. That freedom is possible. It is not easy. It is possible. And it is worth every difficult thing between here and there. If this video gave you the explanation you have been looking for, please share it with one person who is still in the cycle and still blaming themselves for not being able to simply walk away. Tell them it is not about willpower. Tell them what it is actually about. Subscribe, because this channel exists to give you the truth about yourself that the relationship required you to stop believing. I will see you in the next one.